Hi and welcome for the Love of Spirit. I'm Cass Champion, the Modern Mystic, and tonight I'm getting to interview the lovely Janine Lane. Now, Lane is a trance medium and a trance healer. She's a psychic medium and a teacher of all said mediumistic things. And she lives in Devon. So let's bring in Elaine to say hello.
Oh, hello.
Hello, we've made it.
Yeah, I'm the Devon bird from Devon, a mad, crazy woman. So,
Bless you. So, for all the viewers, Janine, would you like to tell us about how you started your journey upon your spiritual path?
oh, have you got about 10 hours? Oh God, I mean, most people know how I've started, who followed me for years anyway, Kaz. It started out, I used to rock climb, so everybody knows I used to do mountaineering and teach climbing and stuff. And then I became critically unwell, so I had to give up my climbing and career. Whole life went down the panhole, no income, no nothing, and my life became very, very difficult. And that's when Spirit came in, which was about 15 years ago. And I can remember them saying, "It's time to serve Spirit." And I thought, I can't even get out of bed. You know what I mean? I can't get out of bed because I was so unwell. I've actually put a video up last couple of days about it. So a lot of people probably already know about it. But my nervous system just stopped functioning. All the internal organs stopped functioning. Everything about me just stopped working. So in Spirit, it was a spiritual journey then. I gave up my career and started to serve Spirit and develop and grow and awaken. Yeah, so it was a tough journey.
Yes, and it's interesting, really, because a lot of people, when you listen to their journeys, have gone through what we call like a dark night of the soul.
Yeah,
And it's
exactly.
that awakens them up to spiritual aspects of there is more.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, it's
absolutely.
wonderful how it happens.
Yeah.
Yes. So, what would you say has been the hardest part of your development?
Dealing with health issues and mediumship, because I was so unwell. I was literally incapable of serving Spirit, even though I was trying to, and I'd given up my initial work to become a homemaker. Basically, I had to give up work, stay at home, look after the family, and dealing with health and trying to spiritually awaken and develop as a medium was probably the most difficult thing. I suppose many people deal with physical health issues, don't they? But they really rise up, don't they, in the awakening? They just sort of all come up to the surface. And yeah, I find physical health was the toughest part of my journey with mediumship. It's absolute trust. Yeah.
It is, yeah. It's letting go and forcing yourself forward, because I've always found that spirits helped me along with the physical aspects of stuff, especially with all what life throws at you. They're really, are by your side getting you through, aren't they?
Yeah.
So you're talking about your mediumship and that. How long did it take you to actually develop?
I'm going to say about 15 years, about that. It was my last sort of mountaineering expedition. We were climbing around Everest and Mirror Peak and stuff, and it was on the very last expedition, and I was literally on my back in the snow, which most people have heard this story a million times before, and I heard a voice saying, get up off the snow and get back down the mountain. And from that point onwards, obviously I couldn't climb after that because of health issues and stuff. And Spirit took me on that development, and I started to sort of serve Spirit, but I hadn't developed my mediumship at that point. So I started to do a lot of historical research. So I became a history guide at Chambercombe Manor in Devon. So yeah, I used to guide people around about history and stuff. And because the place was haunted, Spirit brought me in, and started developing my mediumship whilst I was doing guiding and history guides, taking tours around and stuff. And I sort of developed my mediumship through my learning about history, because the place was so renownedly haunted and they used to do paranormal investigations. Then I started doing paranormal investigations. Then I used to do house clearances, clearing spirits onto the other side if they needed help. I used to, don't know if I should say this bit, they took me from that to that. And then I started to remove items and objects from homes where people have problems with, and started researching on the history and crossing spirits over. This went on for donkey's years. And then after all of that, they drawed me to our local church in Devon, which I met my mentor. And she says, I want you to develop mediumship in our open circle. So then I developed my mediumship. And she said to me, you're not doing mediumship, you're doing trance. I fell into trance every time I sat in my mediumship circle, and I didn't even have the awareness of trance then. So I didn't know what it was or why I was slipping into trance. And then I got trained up as a platform medium. She trained me up as a trance medium. She used to come around to the house every Tuesday. We used to sit and do trance together. And then social media was introduced to me. And then I came out into social media, and it just sort of went on from there. And I sat for physical as well up in my loft for a little while. So it was a gradual thing. Spirit took me through many different things before I came to my mediumships. They taught me about rescue work and objects and residual energy in buildings, and they taught me all that sort of thing. And then it was the mediumship, then it was the trance, and yeah.
Sounds like a very similar journey to what I've been on through life. Because
really,
to me, I think you've got to understand the darker side of things to really appreciate the light. Very much so. You know, there's a lot of people who won't teach about that, but to me, there's light and dark in everything. Yeah, it's balance. Really
it
is.
comes together. I mean, don't get me started on that, but I won't say I won't get into trouble or anything. But it's not all right, all roses around the garden fence. We have to learn about action, low energies.
Very much so. Yeah, definitely agree with you there. So you how did you come to connect in with your guides that some people will know about, some people won't? Would you like to talk about those?
Oh, blimey, that's a long story. Well, when I started developing my trance without knowing I was doing trance, if that makes sense. So I was slipping into trance state. And when I joined the mediumship circle in our local church hall, which is local to us, I used to sort of, I don't know, 7 days a week, I would sit and meditate. I was obsessed by meditation. So I would sit for an hour a day, if not more, every day of the week. I used to drive my husband crazy. And I would always slip into dream state. I would slip into trance for donkey's years. And it wasn't until a friend come to me and said, have you heard of trance mediumship? And I said, oh, what's that then? She said, well, you've obviously been developing it, but we're not realizing it. And she introduced me to it. I went to my first workshop, which was in Bristol at the time. I spoke in trance, and I thought, well, this can't be normal. How can I be speaking straight away? This is just doesn't make any sense to me why I should be speaking so quickly. But what I didn't realize is that I'd been sat in for 6 or 7 years before that without consciously realizing what I was doing with my guides. They'd already come in. And I sat for 2 workshops, and then I sat on my own for quite a long time. I sat alone 4 or 5 times a week. I'd sit alone with my guides. And then after that, I think I joined Julie Lee Glass's circle. And it was then from that point I started to develop more. And at this point, Alice was only coming through. So Alice used to come through all the time. She was my main guide. And and then after that, Richard made an appearance and started to develop with me through Julie's circle and mentoring and stuff. and then he started to develop, and then I was sat for physical, and then Ethel Rose came in the cabinet and rushed in one day, said, "I'm Ethel Rose," really loud in the cabinet, and came in, and she hasn't left since. And then sort of white feather started to come through as well, and that's more recent in the last year. White feather, last year started to come through, and they've all got their different stories. Richard's a bit of a complicated one, because I've been told by one really well-known medium that Richard is in my family, okay, but there's also another Richard blending with me, who's Richard Whiting from Glastonbury Tor, who was beheaded by King Arthur. So we're not entirely sure which Richard's talking through me at the moment, and there's lots of different background stories with the other guys as well. So yeah, it's a bit of a long story.
Yeah, but for like developing trans mediums out there, as a trans medium yourself and a teacher, would you say that it's important that you have to know who your guide is?
I think it's vital that we understand the energy that's around us. I mean, don't you, Kaz? When I'm teaching, I'm sure you, when you're teaching, I always teach, it's important that we start to understand our own energy, more importantly, before we even understand our own guide's energy. And to understand our guide's energy, but also not get too focused on who our guides are, because that's the mistake I made. I wish I'd sort of stepped back and gone, do you know what, rather than trying to find out who they are, looking at it on hindsight, I wish I'd just gone, I just accept who you are. I'm not going to try and identify you,
Yeah, I totally get that. I mean, it's the cherry on the top when you find out who they are and you can research them, but that can take such a long journey to get there. But don't you find that the students that come to you are focused on wanting to know who the guides are, and they're so hoodwinked by other people saying, "Oh, this is your guide, I've just drawn them," and it's you've got your own journey to find them.
I mean, I've had so many mediums tell me who my guides are, and I believe that, obviously, but like Richard is always saying it when I'm in trance state, he always says we're a communion of up to 100 different souls blending at one time. So goodness, if we were trying to find out and research who they are, we'd have a breakdown, wouldn't we?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I do believe there's always the one that's the closest to you that watches over, like your guardian angel type thing. But to me, it's like a revolving carousel, and I'm getting to find more and more the more that I work, because the higher your energy goes, you're gonna put that ping out to the spirit world to bring in this other energy that wants to connect with you. Exactly. So it's a wonderful journey, but this is what I'm trying to teach the students at the moment. Don't focus on who they are and what
just
they are. Focus on the energy.
Exactly. Just accept
get used to that energy. Right. Let's cross the page over. We're doing well today.
I try to answer your questions as quickly as possible without giving you too much overload.
Slow down, woman. Have a cup of tea. We're down to earth, we are.
Oh my God. I'm not good at interviews.
We're mad as one another, aren't we?
I'm not very good at interviews, rest assured of that.
So, what is the best advice you can give to any developing trans mediums out there?
It's completely trust, never fear, never stop what you're doing, no matter what anybody else says or does or say to you, and just keep going regardless, and just don't give up. Keep trusting, and don't go looking for your guides, like we said. Don't go looking for them. Just accept their energy, accept their love, and just never doubt in yourself, because everyone's capable of doing trance if they allow the process to happen. So
this is it. But don't you think they've also got to carry that discernment with them as well?
Absolutely.
Because I mean, you can let your head get in the way and glorify a lot of what's coming through when it's not. That's not spirit.
Exactly.
You can discern the difference, can't you?
I think that I think the trouble is, when we're in trance, I don't know if you agree, but my trance guys are always saying it's an element of us and them, because we're spirit too. So it's that both our energies merging into that space. And I suppose the more we surrender, the less of us are in that trance state, and the more the spirit world comes in. But that takes so many years, doesn't it?
It
It
does.
takes,
It does.
you
Yeah.
know, we'd have to be dead if we weren't there.
True.
That's the way I see it, you know.
We are just lending our bodies over to them. We're just sort of like,
Yeah,
I'm normally sat on a reservation by a campfire enjoying
yeah,
myself.
yeah,
You
that's
know, I
it.
just drift off.
Yeah,
But yeah, so, you know, like you say, the trust is the big thing,
yeah,
and the letting go, isn't it? It's the
yeah.
stepping over that hurdle just to let them in and speak. Because don't you find that students fight it?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I think there's always going to be an element of us, and we're always going to get in the way of our trance guys at some point. I think if we don't accept that, it would be silly. But I think we have to accept we're learning, and it's okay to make mistakes in trance. It's okay to
Mhm.
get in the way, because our guides know that we're sort of learning as well to step further and further away. So, and it's
Well, that's
the,
it. Yeah.
yeah, because
We
I think
definitely
so.
learn by his mistakes, don't we? And I mean, like, I'm pretty new to teaching trance. I think I'm into my second year now.
Well, I'm only
I
new as
am.
well, so we're all new.
I've been seeing a theme running where there's a lack of confidence and a lack of trust with students, you know. But when you when you're teaching and you're trying to tell them that they're just not quite doing something right, and you're trying to put them right, some of them really take it to heart and I think they've done really, really wrong. And this is where they've got to understand that they're learning, and you're learning by your mistakes. So if you're not sort of like pulled up just that little bit, they're going to continue in that loop of making that mistake rather than learning by it.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. Definitely agree with you on that one. It's stopping the habits before they occur continuously.
Yes,
Yeah, I totally get it. But also, I think on the flip side of the coin, it's so hard to get our heads out of the way, isn't it? Because they're sort
it
of the
is.
energy is sandwiched between us, and that trance energy is there, and it's just telling ourselves, you know what, it's okay to get in the way. It's okay to make
It
mistakes,
is. Yeah.
but to accept that and go, because sometimes when I do trance readings, I'll come out and I go, oh shit, and I say, guys, I'm so sorry I got in the way at that point, you know, I got in the way at this point. I think it's all part of the learning to totally get in the way of our trance, because
Yes.
it's the only way we're going to move forward, isn't it?
That's right. You learn by your mistakes and you move forward with it. So don't
Yeah,
take it to heart. You just got to keep going and
yeah,
trust the process, haven't you? Because it all happens for a reason, to teach you all the points what you're not supposed to be doing.
yeah,
We've all done it.
yeah,
You know, even the big ones that you see that are all over the world and that, they'll have been in this position as
yeah.
well.
I've sat with really well-known trance mediums, really famous mediums, and see them. I mean, really famous, and they get right in the way of their trance sometimes. And I've seen it, and I think we all do. I think if every trance medium admits that actually we all get in the way sometimes, and
Yeah.
it's okay to do that as long as we accept it and go, do you know what? How can I let go, and how can I step further away? Um, yeah, you know, because it'd be impossible not to get in the way, wouldn't it? Because
Well,
they would
this is
need us,
it.
would they?
Yeah,
Mm.
see, my ethos is we're human, we're born to make mistakes. We've got that free
Yeah,
will of choice. So,
yeah,
you know, anybody that says they don't make any mistakes at all, well, nah,
yeah.
rubbish.
It's funny. It's funny about you saying about getting in the way, because for for last 3 years, I used to get in the way quite a lot of my trance, with a lot of coughing when Richard used to come through, because I'd had a lot of emotional healing still to do. And in the last 4 weeks, he's just stopped coughing completely, because the channels got clear, because I've done the healing. That's not being egotistic or anything, but it really shows, if we focus on our healing and then do our trance, that the
Yeah,
energy can get closer. So a lot of people get caught up in, let's develop trance. Well, actually, let's develop our healing, because that
yeah.
comes first.
Do you know, I was just going to ask you that question.
Oh, were you?
You've
I
read me notes. So, my question was, do you feel it's important to focus on your own self healing
Oh my God, yeah.
before that you step into the mediumship things, or do you think it opened you up to the self healing and it runs alongside your journey?
You see, I'm only learning just like you, I'm
Mm.
not, I try not to be in the ego, I don't know it all. But my guides always say to me, healing, healing, healing comes alongside the trance. It's not all about sitting there and speaking straight away. It's about working internally, and working on that. And sometimes I think some people find that really frustrating because the patience needs to be there with trance, I think.
It does.
It's
Does.
opening up the throat chakra, isn't it? And because our guides can't blend with us if we're not internally healing, that they're only going to get so far near us, and that they're not going to get any further closer. I mean, I remember multiple times whenever I got sick, I would be away for a couple of weeks from doing trance readings, but when I came back, I'd learnt something from that sickness or being ill, or I'd learnt something about myself, and the trance had got stronger. And you wouldn't have expected that to happen, would you?
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
did, because you've gone away and done the healing. So
Yeah. And it's
yeah,
the same thing with physical mediumship as well.
yeah,
If you've had a bad day and your energies are low, you're
yeah,
going to be lucky if anything transpires or anything. But if you're feeling really good about yourself and you're full of vitality
yeah,
and that, you've got the energy there for spirit to use.
yeah,
So it
yeah,
is sort of like keeping your energies sort of like
yeah.
balanced as well, isn't it?
Mm.
Talking about energy, this beautiful new energy that's bombarding us at the moment, that's leading the world into a large awakening as such. Do you feel that it's changing how we work as mediums, as healers?
um you see, my guides, they're all, because I've asked them to sit with me whilst I come on here because I was so nervous about coming on here. And I can hear my guides now saying it's all about the light. If we receive too much light, our body's on vibration of our body isn't going to cope. So we have to be patient with ourselves and heal ourselves and go, do you know what? That's okay to slow down, because we're not physically in the spirit world right now. We're here and they're there, and we have to sort of, yeah, Richard says a lot about being patient with ourselves. We've got to be
Yes,
really
because there's a lot of changes going on. I've noticed that I'm working
mm,
slightly differently, and I think that the more this energy bombards the earth, this light that's coming in, and this
yeah,
new wave of energies, we're going to this huge ascension process of the planet, not
yeah,
just
yeah,
of the energies.
yeah,
It's shifting everything, and I feel that there's going to be a lot of new learning to come in for us all within the
yeah,
spiritual aspect. There's even more, and that's sort of like quantum that's really coming to the
yeah,
fore now and starting to learn about everything. I mean,
yeah.
I was reading a post on Facebook earlier, the dreaded Facebook, and that whether it's true or not, I don't know, but I was reading that scientists somewhere had actually managed to teleport someone from A to B. So in
Wow.
this machine, that they've made this machine and they've managed to teleport, and I'm like,
Oh,
bring it on.
yeah. Why not?
I mean, that be great? Packing your bags and just going in this
Yeah,
easy
that's
to
what
space.
it like. No more StreamYard, just vacate over
Just
houses and that's we
take
done.
me there, yeah. It'd be amazing, wouldn't
Oh, but
it?
I can hear spirit. Actually, they keep, no, they're japping in the air, but they keep saying that all the new the starseed children, the new children are going to come to Earth. And they're going to have all the advancements in DNA and light that we don't have at the moment. So they're going to bring new technology and new ways of working with spirit.
Yeah.
And I won't keep on because I'm
Oh no, you
you know
more, because this is what interests me
yeah,
moving forward. I mean, I've gone down quite a few rabbit holes and I've got my fingers in a lot of pies, especially since I've connected in with light language. It's
yeah,
really expanding everything that I never thought was possible is becoming possible. So,
yeah,
never put spirit in a box, because
yeah,
they're ascending with this new energy as well, I think, and working in different ways. Like
yeah.
years ago, before COVID, they would have said that you wouldn't be able to do it online, it wouldn't work.
Oh, but
And
it does.
COVID hit, and then wow, what
Yeah,
a door opened up
that
for
did. Yeah,
mediumship. I mean, we're sitting with people at the other side of the world and made
yeah,
lots of new contacts and friends. It's been
yeah,
wonderful. You know,
yeah. had
how
that
boring
before.
it is to contain it into just one little church, even though you can't beat the face-to-face energy of a group.
Oh yeah, it's lovely to
But
be face to face, but you
yeah,
could do it
but
all
I
on
mean,
Zoom.
wow.
Yeah,
I thoroughly lockdown to me was my defining glory moment because I was there at home as a carer, not
yeah,
being able to get out, looking after my father and my autistic son, and
yeah.
COVID hit. And I thought, oh,
What should I do?
started to look
Yeah,
on Facebook and thought, oh, I can go to this class, oh, I can go to
yeah,
this circle. And then my development went,
yeah,
it was
yeah.
wonderful.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, I mean, who to think that we would be teaching trance on Zoom? I mean,
No,
years ago, people would be like totally anti it, wouldn't they? And say, oh, it's dangerous and it's this and it's that. But it's installing fear again, isn't it?
it is,
Yeah.
yeah.
That doesn't need to be there. Yeah.
Yeah, you just can't contain. You can't put spirit in a box. Spirit
Yeah.
no, and they're
They
pushing it
know they can
forward.
work through anything, can't they?
Yeah, of course they can. So, that's the questions that I've got on my sheet. They've all been answered.
Oh my
So,
God. It's because Richard's here, that's why.
yeah, maybe Richard. So, your website is spiritual-readings with janinelane.co.uk.
I have to say my website looks terrible at the moment because it's been updated,
The work in
and
process.
yeah, so it's in the process. So if you can't make head or tail what's going on in the website, don't panic. You can sort of find your way around, but it needs some technical stuff sorting out with that. Yeah.
So, what kind of services do you offer?
Well, I used to bring the loved ones through in trance many, many years ago, and I'm talking about 10 years ago now, but I stopped doing that because, well, yeah, all right. They want me to do it again. They're
Coming
starting to
back, yeah.
persuade me to bring it back in, yeah. But my guides bought the idea of like a little bit like psychic counseling, so coming out the box and giving people sort of inspirational trance readings. So I tend to do like private Q&A where people can learn about their emotions, their awakening, their private life, anything they want to ask questions about, to help people. My guides really wanted to help people learn to understand themselves better and heal. So I offer those readings. And I also offer clairvoyance readings, obviously, and guided meditations with white feather and trance healing sessions. I do also. I can do a lot more, but I try not to do it because it's too overwhelming. So I just offer those three things at the moment, and trance workshops, obviously,
Yeah,
beginners, intermediate, advanced. Yeah. So
yeah, because you've got a very active group on Facebook as well, haven't you? Where the
yeah.
meditations and things happen.
I try to keep it small and sweet, even though there's a lot of people there, because it's like that with Facebook. We can have a lot of people in our space, but it's
Yeah,
who's interacting with us. And the amount of people that are interacting with me is quite small, which is how I like it, because I
yeah,
don't think it's about having large amounts of people
no,
in space all the time. So we've got a nice little community. The same people come to the workshops and different events and stuff. And it's just a nice personal place, how I want it, because I'm not interested in fame and being all over
no.
the place. And
No, because you're doing it for the love of spirit.
yeah, exactly. And I just set up a blending circle as well every
Wonderful.
on a Sunday, but it sort of slightly went bonkers in the beginning because everybody wanted to join. You know what it's like? It's got this TV
Yeah.
problem. Spirit said, no, let's just put a rain on this. So I set a number on it now. And now they have, if they want to be a circle member, they have to message me and they can be put on the list to join the Sunday circles. And it's turned out absolutely amazing. And it's all free. And it's just such a joy. Well, you do blending circle, don't you? It's such a
Yeah.
joy to do it and see people develop and heal. And
It tops your own batteries up, doesn't it? Watching
yeah,
people come on and
yeah,
really
that's
seeing the
it.
development change, and it's
Yeah,
wonderful, and it's teaching us as well at the same time because
yeah,
everybody's different. So
yeah,
it's wonderful to watch. It really, really is.
yeah. I always feel like when we're teaching that we're being taught by our students as well.
Yes,
So
very
'cause
much
they're
so.
teaching us too, because we're all got something to offer, haven't we? And
Yeah, this is it.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, Janine,
Well,
that's been absolutely wonderful. We've got through it.
oh, you have to excuse me for not being the world's best. I'm not very good at being
Oh,
interviewed,
hey,
but
I'm not the world's best interviewer. I'm just Cass. That's how I go through everything. Even teaching.
Yeah,
I'm just Cass.
yeah.
I don't paint myself up to be anything. So before we go, is there any last words that you'd like to leave to our viewers?
Oh, what shall I say? Just keep going at your spiritual work. Keep going, keep doing it, and don't let anybody hold you back. Whatever anybody says or does, be unique. Whatever teacher you go to, because I think every teacher teaches differently. Take what you need from one teacher and take what you need from another. Not every teacher's going to be right for you. Not every medium's going to be right for you. And just go on your unique way and develop in your way and step out the box and be different. That's what I want to say.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Janine, for joining us this evening. And
And well done
I
you
wish,
for interviewing me.
and I wish you well with all your endeavours, and I'm sure our paths will cross again very soon.
Yeah, no problem. No
Lots
problem.
of love. Thank you, Janine. And thank you to all the viewers. So don't forget, if you have watched this video and you've enjoyed it, I'll be putting the links down below to Janine's website and her Facebook groups. And don't forget to like and subscribe the video. And from my heart to your heart, lots of love. See you soon. See you very, very